Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Dian Nurdiana from English Education Department of 5C class at Islamic University Riau. And here I will explain about the sensitive educational research as my project of my research development subject, which guided by Mr. Nwardi. Okay, so according to Lee, 1993, sensitive research is that which potentially pose a substantial threat to those who are involved or have been involved in it. Lee also suggests that sensitive research falls into three main areas. First, intrusive threat, probing into areas which are private, stressful or secret. And the second, studies of deviance, and the third, social control. The three kinds of sensitivities indicated above may appear separately or in combinations. The sensitivity concerns not only the topic itself, but also, perhaps more importantly, the relationship between the topic and the social context within which that research is conducted. Okay? Next, sampling and access. Accordingly, 1993-60 suggests that three are potentially serious difficulties in sampling and access in sensitive research, not least because of the problem of estimating the size of the populations from which the sample is to be drawn as members of particular groups, defined or clandestine groups will not want to disclose their association. Lee 1993-61 suggests several strategies to be used. First, list sampling. List sampling is looking through public domain lists of, for example, the recently divorced, though such lists may be more helpful to social research than especially educational research. Next, multi-purposing. It means using an existing survey to reach populations of interest to problems of confidentiality might prevent this from being employed. And next, secreting. It means targeting a particular location and canvassing within it, which may require much effort for little turn. Next, outcropping. It means this involves going a particular location where non-members of the target group congregate or can be found in the education. This may be a particular staff room for teachers or meeting place for students. Next, servicing. Lee 1993-72 suggests that it might be possible to reach research participants by offering them some sort of service in return for their participation. Next, professional informant. Lee 1993-73 suggests this could be, for example, police, doctor, priest, or the professionals in educational that might include social works and counselor. This may be unrealistic themes as these very people might be bound by terms of legal or ethical confidentiality or voluntary self-censorship. Next, advertising. It means that these can potentially reach a wide population. It might be difficult to control the nature of those who respond. It means in terms of representativeness or suitability. Next, networking. It means this is a kind to snowball sampling, wherein one set of context paths put the researcher in touch with more context, who puts the research in touch with yet more context, and so on. This is widely used technique. It is not always easy for context to be passed on, as initial informants might be unwilling to default members of a close-knit community. Okay, next, gaining access. Watford, 2001, 36 until 47 sets out a four-step process of gaining access. First, approach. In this context, Wolford 2001 contains that an initial letter should be used only to gain an initial interview or an appointment, or even to arrange to telephone the head teacher in order to arrange an interview, not to conduct the research or to gain access. Next, interest. Using a telephone call to arrange an initial interview. In this respect, Watford 2001 notes that head teachers like to talk, and so it is important to let them talk, even on the telephone, when arranging an interview to discuss the research. Next, desire. Overcoming objections and stressing the benefits of the research. As Watford 2001 wisely comments, after all, schools have purpose other than to age as a research site. He makes the telling point that the research might actually benefit the school, but the school may not realize this until it is pointed out. For example, a head teacher might wish to confide in a researcher. Teachers may benefit from discussion with a researcher. Students may benefit from being asked about their learning. And the last cell, where the participant agree to the research. Okay, next, ethical issues in sensitive research. In interviewing students, they may several sensitive matters about themselves, their family, their teacher, and the research will need to decide whether and how to age on this kind of information. Ethical issues in the conduct of research are turned into sharp relief against a backdrop of personal, institutional, and social politics, and the boundaries between public and private spheres are not only relative but also highly ambiguous. The ethical debate is heightened, for example, concerning the potential tension between the individual's right to privacy versus the public's right to know and the concern not to damage or harm individuals versus the need to serve the public good, because public and private spheres might merge. It is difficult, it's not impossible to resolve such a tension straightforwardly. These issues are felt most certainly if the research risks revealing negative findings to expose practice to research scrutiny might be like taking the pleasure of an open one. And next, researching power people. Those in power are well used to their ideas being taken notice of. They are well able to deal with interviewers to answer the avoid particular questions to suit their own ends and present their own role in events in a favorable light. They are aware of what academic results involve and are familiar with being interviewed and having the word the pericord according to Walker 1994 in sum. The power in the educational world is count in the interview situations and interviews pass little threat to their own positions. Next is asking questions. In asking questions in research, Sadman and Bradbaum, 1982, suggests that open questions might be preferable to closed questions and long questions might preferable to short questions. Both of these enable respondents to answer in their own words, which might be more suitable for sensitive topics. Indeed, they suggest that while short questions may be useful to gathering information about attitudes, longer questions are more suitable for asking questions about behavior and can include examples to which respondents might wish to respond. Lee, 1993, advocates using familiar words in questions as this can reduce a sense of threat in addressing sensitive matters and help the respondent to feel more relaxed. Okay, uh, several issues to be addressed in conducting sensitive interviews. First, how to approach the topic in order to prevent participant inhibitions and to help them address the issue in their preferred way. Next, how to deal with contradiction, complexities, and emotion, which might require training, supervision of interviewers, how to adopt an accepting and non-judgmental stance, how to handle respondents who might not be people whom interviewers particularly like or with whom they agree. Next, how to handle the operation of power and control in the interview. Next, handling the conditions under which the exchange take place. Lee 1993 suggested interviews on sensitive matters should have a one of character. For example, the respondent should feel that the interviewer and the interview might never meet again. Okay, the last conclusion. In approaching educational research, our advice is to consider it to be far from a neat, clean, dirty, and unproblematic, and neutral process, but to regard it is short through with actual and potential sensitivities. Within this in mind, we have resisted the temptations to provide a list of sensitive topics, as this could be simplistic and overlook the fundamental issue, which is that it is the social context of the research that makes the research sensitive. Okay, I think enough. Sorry for my mistake. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.